And because it is so foggy, let's get straight to the forecast. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick joining us in the Outdoor Weather Center tonight. And Thomas, this fog is going to hang around for several more hours, right?
Yeah, all the way through tomorrow morning. It actually could be a two-day event for us, probably getting a break right during the midday or afternoon hours tomorrow as the fog usually settles in when our temperatures get colder and our atmosphere saturates a bit more. You can see the scene downtown. The airport also reporting a bit of light fog, but here at our South Hill studios, things look a lot more clear than not. So it is patchy in places, but obviously where that fog has developed, it is thick and it is deep. And it is dense. That's how we could describe that fog. Dense fog advisories for all these areas along I-90 and northward. Visibility of at least a half a mile, mainly patchy, but it can be very thick in places. In fact, here are some of the latest reports. Half-mile visibility out of Deer Park. It is a quarter-mile visibility in central Washington as well. But that visibility marker has been going up and down over the last several hours, but that's the way it's going to stay all the way through tomorrow morning as well. Looking like a two-day event for the fog, and I'll have more on your weekend forecast in a few minutes.
Sounds good, Thomas. Thank you very much. Well, it was a huge night for the Gonzaga men tonight as they face conference rival BYU at home. Number 2 ranked GU taking it to the Cougs tonight. KREM 2 Sports Director Brenna Green live on campus tonight to talk about the latest Gonzaga win. Good evening, guys.
Good evening, Mark. Yeah, Gonzaga, big winners tonight, 110-84 over BYU. Just another incredible outing for the Zags. What's new here?
Yeah, I know. And I asked them post-game, was this your best game of the season? Because it felt like that. When you look at the box score, it does. But they said no, this wasn't their best game of the season.
I mean, yeah, incredible, incredible stuff from GU. Gonzaga was up 26-22 when they went into a timeout, then went on a 20-5 run, and from there, this game was out of reach for BYU. They could not get back into this game, and one of the big reasons why was Gonzaga went on a full-on onslaught from the three-point line. They had 10 threes in the first half, 10. The promotion in the kennel is if the Zags get 10 threes in a game, the people in the stands get free Taco Bell tacos. So I think that illustrates how crazy it is that they had 10 threes in the first half. Strother and Nembhard each had 3 apiece in that first frame. Chet Holmgren added 2. Like we said, 110 points for the Zags tonight. And, well, it's just come pretty easy for Gonzaga the last few weeks. And, yeah, it's no wonder when you hear this soundbite from Andrew Nembhard and Drew Timme.
Teams recently just can't guard us, so that's why we gave 110 points. I just think it's how we play. I mean, coach is always on us to push the ball and to, just create as much as we can and make it a high possession game. So I think sometimes, like, I remember the other game at the Pepperdine game, I looked up and it was 90. With like 12 minutes, I was like, Jesus.
Well, obviously, the 3 is a big storyline in this one, but inside the arc, Drew Timme was a man on a mission. He was cooking, everybody. He had 12 points at the half. I even turned to our own Andrew Quinn and said, this is the quietest 12 points I've ever seen. You wouldn't have expected Timme to have that many points, but then the second half came, and he just went off into this game with 30 total points. He only missed 1 shot on the night, going 13 for 14. This was vintage Drew. BYU had 0 answers for the big man. He said before the game he remembers BYU beating them in Provo his freshman year, and I think he used that as a little extra motivation tonight.
A lot of my coaching colleagues just kind of kid me about it, marvel. They don't have that. And just to have a guy that you can just literally deliver on the block time and time again, or even in the short post there where we were hitting him with his mid-range is just an incredible asset to have, and that's why he's, I think, the best college player there is out there right now.
By the way, the lone shot Drew missed tonight was a 3 as the shot clock was expiring. That's it. Finally, sharing, caring, ladies and gentlemen. The Zags had 28 assists tonight, which is the most they've had in a game this season so far. Andrew Nembhard led the way with a whopping 12. He also added 22 points. Rasir Bolton had 7 points. Overall, the Zags, between those two, 19 assists, 0 turnovers. Pretty good for a guard tandem there. This team was passing the rock tonight, and the Cougars just couldn't keep up.
Yeah. No, I just felt comfortable. I felt like I can do both, honestly, and I think guys were moving. We were just clicking so well. I was getting easy assists, honestly. So just came natural.
Just another one for the record books tonight in the kennel. No problems at all with this BYU team for Gonzaga. They now are going to go on the road, play at Santa Clara and Pacific.
And I think the big question on anybody's mind right now is who's going to give them trouble in the WCC now? You thought BYU might be the biggest, person that they'd have to overcome a team here, and they just ran all over them tonight.
We'll see. St. Mary's, San Francisco. Your guys' challenge next. Reporting in the kennel, I'm Brenna Green. He's Travis Green. KREM 2 Sports.
All right, guys, thank you very much. In other news this evening, pack up and leave. That's the message the Washington Department of Transportation is sending to homeless campers on state land near I-90 and Freya. WashDOT threatened to clear out tents tomorrow by noon, but the city of Spokane says that's not going to happen. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk explains why in this story new at 11 tonight.
WashDOT asked the city of Spokane and code enforcement to clear the lot, but the city says their hands are tied and they can't legally ask these campers to pack up and leave.
WashDOT says people living in this town of tents have been trespassing since mid-December. Campers like Alan Toller-Jones wonder where else they're supposed to go.
There's not many places available, and unfortunately with the way everything is in COVID and the overwhelming displacement that we're dealing with as a nation, it just leads to a lot of doors not having availability once you've gotten there.
Alan started camping on WashDOT property in December. He has an old pickup and a tent. None have any working heaters.
Extreme weather, extreme people, a lot of displacement.
WashDOT says it's growing more concerned with the safety at the camp. Julie Garcia, founder of Jules Helping Hands, claims there have been 0 police calls or incidents. Spokane police told us that's not true. Just 2 days ago, officers were called to an assault between 2 campers. Garcia claims that fight happened off the property and the other person involved wasn't living at the camp.
I mean, are you worried about safety here or conditions?
Occasionally, but for the most part, it's been very safe.
WashDOT asked the city of Spokane and code enforcement to clear the camp.
It's safe to say that code enforcement will not be there clearing out those tents. There could be some voluntary cleaning up of the site.
City spokesperson Brian Coddington says there aren't enough shelter beds available right now, so the city can't forcibly remove tents and other property. Code enforcement will still visit the site, however.
Code enforcement goes in, and it's a voluntary pickup of litter and garbage that the occupant says is no longer needed or desired in their camp. It won't be a clearing out of that camp at this point.
That news has Alan and other campers relieved for now.
Everyone's been extraordinarily worried. A lot of people are very independent. They carry and contain everything that they have in a small form in these tents.
Right now, Mayor Nadine Woodward is working with city council members to find a new shelter space. Newly elected City Councilman Zach Sapone called the meeting productive and said that both sides understand the direness of the situation. Reporting in Spokane, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
The city recently closed a warming shelter at the Spokane Convention Center, and today we learned the facility suffered $90,000 in damages, according to the city. The city says people in the shelter shattered mirrors, put holes in the wall, and damaged 90 banquet chairs. Some of them were used, they say, as toilets. A developing story tonight out of Pend Oreille County, where earlier today a jury reached a verdict in the Jason Fox murder trial. Jason Fox was the Newport teen killed and buried in a shallow grave more than a year ago. After less than 3 hours of deliberating, the jury found Claude Merritt guilty of first and second degree murder, first degree manslaughter, first degree kidnapping, tampering with evidence, and failing to notify a coroner. Claude will return to court for his sentencing on February 18th. 2 years after a WSU student died of alcohol poisoning at a 2019 fraternity event, lawmakers are trying to pass a bill in his name. Sam's Law, in honor of student Sam Martinez, would strengthen the penalties for hazing-related deaths. House Bill 1758 would make hazing-related incidents a gross misdemeanor, and those resulting in seriously bodily harm would be charged as a Class C felony.
Since this work is so challenging, I'm going to ask each one of you in your districts to provide me with a list of 3 locations in your district.
Spokane City Council heard a presentation from Mayor Nadine Woodward about the recently shut down temporary warming shelter during a special meeting today. Spokane Fire Chief Brian Schaefer said at the meeting that some people at the shelter said they came from the valley, from Meade, and the western part of the county. The council also got to ask the mayor and the Spokane Public Facilities District about how that temporary shelter opened at the convention center. Questions were asked about the costs and future shelter plans. This came before the council voted on a letter written by council members Karen Stratton and Zach Zapone addressed to Woodward. It urged action on securing shelter space and claimed there have been times the administration did not follow ordinances regarding that space.
It's not a blame and shame game here. To me, it just provides clarity of what has been done and responsibilities and roles. And truly, we are all in it together.
The council voted 5-2 to send the letter, with members Michael Cathcart and Jonathan Bingle deciding not to sign the letter. The Hospital Association of Washington says we are not at crisis standards of care yet, but we are at crisis levels of staffing, with many getting sick, leading to shortages. Here in eastern Washington, the Hospital Association expects upticks in COVID cases. Another issue hospitals are seeing is patients who don't actually need to be there and should be in nursing homes, long-term care facilities, or at home with at-home care, but instead they're in the hospitals taking up beds. The Washington State Hospital Association is requesting people needing a COVID test or aren't very ill to avoid going to the ER for care. They are also urging people to wear a medical face mask instead of cloth masks. And with COVID numbers spiking across Washington state today, Governor Jay Inslee activated the National Guard. 100 members of the Guard are being sent to help hospitals all across the state, and some will be coming to Providence Sacred Heart here in Spokane. Inslee said they'll be performing non-medical duties in order to free up more healthcare workers to work in emergency departments and with things such as testing. The governor is also ordering a 4-week pause on non-emergency procedures so hospitals can attend to more urgent needs. And to prep for the predicted peak of Omicron, Spokane Public Schools is changing up its schedule. They'll be closed next Tuesday due to staffing shortages brought on by COVID. SPS says schools are facing a large number of staff absences every day. SPS will not offer morning or afternoon childcare on the 18th. Sports and other extracurricular activities will also be adjusted. Students will also likely be out of school on Monday, January 24th. They plan to let parents know later on January 20th if in fact that is the case. So we'll keep you posted on that one. All right, do you have tickets to an upcoming Spokane Symphony show? If so, that show may have been canceled. We'll give you an update coming up after the break. Plus, later on in the broadcast, Coeur d'Alene schools are seeing their 5th day of more than 80 teachers absent. What that means, coming up after the break.